want to talk about scambling.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about prediction markets.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the confluence of all of that with crypto and insider trading everywhere and a desire. It's getting to be easier and easier to show the bifurcation between Bitcoin and crypto, which obviously we were doing a good job of, I think, for a number of years. And I think the DATs and treasury companies complicated that story a little bit over the summer. But like, crypto is about finance and Bitcoin is about money. And they're very different things. And so when you hear somebody talking about Bitcoin and they say something about the future of finance, it's, oh, you don't understand Bitcoin at all. You really don't get it. Like the whole point is the opposite of that. And I hijacked something that I think, John, you surfaced it yesterday, but I think it was like a Mads Mikkelsen hero's journey meme or something. I can't even remember what it was, but it was just making that point that you can just stack sats and be peaceful. And it's always like focus on your craft. But it's what we always say, right? Like all you really have to do now is make more than you spend and put the excess into Bitcoin and live your life and enjoy your kids and have some fun. And you good. You don't have to be a hedge fund manager to stay ahead of inflation and try to out trade everybody and all that kind of stuff. I just think there's this, I can't believe how stark and clear it is now when you also rope into, they're trying to tokenize all stocks so that they can trade on unregulated offshore exchanges too. And so that they can have flash crashes and liquidity bubbles and all this kind of stuff and overnight in Asia on a weekend and crash a Mag 7 stock, things like that. And then you have this desire to financialize literally everything that exists through prediction markets so that we can all gamble on everything all the time. And you have people aspiring to the future of Gen Alpha. They won't actually have jobs. All they'll do is just become really good bettors. And that's what they'll do. They'll just trade instead. And so it's just this horrifying, dark version of the future where essentially they want finance and betting and scambling, the portmanteau of scamming and gambling, which we can get into right after this, to rise from something like 20% of GDP, which is where it is in the US right now. And they want that to be like 35 or 40% of GDP. It's non-productive, it's extractive, it's negative sum by definition. There is a place for capital allocation. And that's where people with my training and John's career should be doing things. And that should be like 3 to 5% of the economy is allocating capital. And that's what finance ought to be in a healthy society. And we're moving in the exact opposite direction of what is good and healthy for humans. So it's really interesting. Like literally Bitcoin is this direction and the other one is a really dark and gross dystopian path that people are just charging down as fast as possible.
I was actually ready to tee you up for this, Cory. Here's the founder of Kalshi, which is a betting market, like Poly Market, was on some podcast or conference talking about the long-term goal for him is to financialize everything, basically making everything a betting market in a sense. And they want to put everything onto their platform, which of course they want to. But like Cory said, this creates an environment where, and actually I would say is the result of an environment of fiat money where you're really forced to gamble with your money. Otherwise it's gone very quickly over a few years or a decade. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm going to pick on that one just for a sec.
Yeah,
because I think it's related, but it's not as tied as the way you just formulated it, because I think it's actually the people that have basically given up that are gambling, that's why gambling has always been much more of a lower class thing. That's who plays the numbers and does the pull tabs and all that stuff at the bar. That's the ones who rush to the bar and drink away their paycheck on Fridays and don't take care of their family and they don't save because they just don't see a way out. Having $10 excess from your paycheck just isn't going to get you out of it. And gambling is classically the opiate of the masses, and gambling exploded at the end of the Roman Empire. And that was the real sport in Circus Maximus, was the gambling on the chariot teams and the gladiators and everything. But again, it's always negative sum for the participants because the house takes a rake.
Yeah.
And there's no chance of a win-win situation when you think about prediction markets, which are gambling for almost all participants. So yeah, it's just ugly. And this is something we've noted for a long time, is that crypto ads and gambling ads have the exact same audiences. They have the exact same media buy. So prediction markets, crypto casinos, sports gambling, three-headed chimera monster trying to eat all of the excess cash of everyone that is basically just plugged into this weird matrix where that's supposedly looked down as like a, if not a healthy activity, like at least normalized. And it's not normal, and it's not a good way to spend your time. But I think this is a little bit more of a moral argument and a social argument than saying, hey, there's nothing else that they could do. Because it is a little different than just like buying and holding stocks, which you probably could do. It's nihilist, basically. It's giving up.
Yep.
And it's just using your money for entertainment and a rush more than anything else.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there's that segment. I think, like when you're saying that people go into this because they can't find a way out, they can't find an exit. I think there's a set of people who just really love to do this, and many get addicted to it because there is some adrenaline rush to winning. But I think a lot of people just they don't have access to buying stocks. The majority of Americans don't have access to or any exposure to the stock market. They're living paycheck to paycheck. That money is going less and less far every year. And so they're looking for a way out. And this might be a way out. It makes it gambling even more accessible. And maybe you don't know anything about sports. You can find something to predict that you might think you know about on one of these markets. I think it's similar. I think it is a moral thing. And I think it's the fiat regime that really pushes these lower wealth classes down because they're at the bottom of that interest rate pyramid. They're in the payday loan level, in the credit card level where they're paying 20, 30%. Trying to survive, and there's no way out in that world.
So on this topic, where my mind goes is the fix the money, fix the world tagline. And I don't want to come across as trashing it because I think it is a great tagline for marketing purposes. You need something memeable that gets through to people in a punchy, quick way. So I think it's great for that. But someone listening to this discussion might be like, hey, what about fix the money, fix the world? You guys are telling me that there's all this nihilism and people are gambling on the weather. Literally, that was an announcement. One of these platforms, you can gamble on the weather. How I kind of rationalize it is maybe the more accurate tagline is fix your money, fix your world. But it's not as simple as we have Bitcoin now, so nobody's going to be a degenerate gambler. Unfortunately, it seems like we're going to maximum degenerate gambling in the next few years and decades. And that's going to take a long time to play out before we see any sort of like sound money type of system take hold.
So look, so Brady, you and I both messed around with crypto and tried to be crypto traders briefly before understanding Bitcoin, right? And that was a really common story. So in a positive spin on this, if gambling is everywhere, between the sports gambling continues to expand and crypto casinos everywhere, meme coin explosion, blah, 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 and now prediction markets exploding. So everybody's gambling in these three different ways all the time. Those are the people that are going to burn out. Now you have three tops of funnel instead of one. And so I think it's actually a really wide, broad top of funnel market to go into with a Bitcoin message and hey, do you ever think you'll have a family and give a shit about your future? Do you want something more in life than this degeneracy? Maybe you can actually take the orange pill and escape from your pod where they're just milking you all the time for your body heat. And Bitcoin is the way out. In that respect, maybe it just cycles people through the what used to be the shitcoin horseshoe, but it's basically this gambling horseshoe. And it's a lot more people going through it a lot faster. And we end up with a lot more Bitcoiners than we otherwise would because of all these degenerates at Coinbase and Kalshi and Polymarket, et cetera.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard sell to say, hey, this is not a get rich quick scheme. You're going to have to work, save your money, even a little bit at a time, buy a Bitcoin and hold it for 2 decades. That's a hard sell when you're in a world where you can bet on anything and get the potential, the promise of some kind of return right away on anything. And again, like it opens up, these betting markets open up the opportunity to bet on just about anything. So if you don't know sports and you're like, I don't know that world, I don't trust myself, I don't have the knowledge to outcompete all those people who professionally study sports, you'll find anything that you can bet on, anything in your community. You can bet on what is the school board going to pass, something like that. You could anything. So that just opens it up, like Cory was saying, to everyone. And I like that idea where you push people just through that experience. And Cory and I both went through it. And I got burned in 2017 and finally figured out that Bitcoin was the thing and then committed to it, where maybe that'll burn people out faster and it'll accelerate the move toward this understanding that, okay, the Bitcoin is the thing. And I just got to figure it out, commit to it. And there's no easy way out.
If you want, we do have some more validation of that beyond you two guys. Think about how many great clients we have that came from Celsius, BlockFi, Terra Luna, etc. So there's real evidence of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Cory spent that whole year calling out those 3 scams and others. And your DMs are probably still getting comments in from people who have learned their lessons from those mistakes and from the things that you and other Bitcoiners were talking about during those years. So
literally every Swan salon I attend, somebody comes up to me that I haven't met before that says they got out of one of those CeFi scams back in 22 because of us.
Yep, it is pretty amazing. I'll just throw this out there real quick while we're maybe wrapping this up, not to necessarily force us off of it, but let me see. I'm going to flip this. This is Cory's post on the Swan blog. So you can go to swan.com, click on the research tab, or just Google Cory Scambling and you'll find it. And yeah, you can get into his original thinking earlier this year, laying out the thoughts that we've been discussing. So check that out.
Yeah, that was, I think I published the word definition on election day last year and then put the post out on inauguration day.
That's right.
And you could just tell that it was coming. And there were some really positive things about the red wave or the orange wave, because I think there were some excesses, obviously, of the previous administration. And I think having people talking positively about Bitcoin, even if they were also wide open and hanging up price signs for crypto scammers and pardons of horrible people and things like that, regardless, it's very clear that a lot of the institutional adoption of Bitcoin has happened in the wake of what happened last November. It's just, there's 2 sides of the coin, and that's probably the wrong analogy. Anyway, there's 2 sides to everything. There's a yin and a yang, and a lot of bad things came with this as well. And I think there will be a massive backlash against crypto and crypto scams whenever this administration's power starts to wane enough that they're assailable. And unfortunately, because so many have tried to wrap Bitcoin back under the crypto umbrella in this time, I think that we'll probably face some headwinds from regulatory and just like socio-cultural backlash against crypto. Will make things hard for Bitcoin again at some point. But I think it's okay. The one thing that I just want to give real credit to someone, an unsung hero here, who is responsible for, in this push, starting from the very first Trump speech in May of 2024, when he came out pro Bitcoin and pro crypto. If you'll notice, he did separate them. It was Bitcoin and crypto. And he cribbed that from RFK2, who had made that his own platform. He had said Bitcoin and crypto back then. And we were like upset that it wasn't just Bitcoin, but he did at least separate them. And the guy who was responsible for separating Bitcoin from crypto in political discourse and now everywhere was Brian Estes, our friend from Off the Chain Capital, who used to supply the Pacific Bitcoin jet at PB in the 22 and 23. So thank you, Brian. Some of us know what you did and we appreciate it. And I think that was a masterstroke to seemingly throw the crypto people a bone, but actually separate it from Bitcoin forever. And it was well done. A lot of foresight there. So thanks, Brian.
Yeah, unsung hero for sure. Stays behind the scenes a little bit, but does amazing work. Really cool guy.
He's the producer of God Bless Bitcoin, which you can go watch on the Swan YouTube channel right now. It's got about 1.5 million views on our channel and probably another 2 or 3 on their website.
Yeah, it's great.